recording.
Here we go.
Okay. Welcome to the March 4th, 2021 or
March
24.
5th, right?
Oh, actually, it is March 5th because it's
UTC time.
2024 session of TangerineSDR, ClementineSDR, and HamSci technical session. It's getting more complicated with all these different projects. My name is Dave, KB0S, and this week I've been doing some modifications, keeping up with my radios. I'm still running three K9Q sessions, one VHF and two HF. The one I keep going for playing so I can experiment with things that people invent. And one I keep going just for logging data. So that's it for me. Now we'll go on down the list. And next we have Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Things are going well here. I've been working very hard on trying to get the HamSci workshop all put together. The abstracts are all posted to the website now. The committee is meeting tomorrow morning. We're working on getting people's travel arrangements for people who are getting travel support. We're getting all of that put together, taking care of the last minute details regarding all of that. So I think that's going along very well. I have a few volunteers here at the University of Scranton who are starting to put together RX888 systems and trying to follow along with that here. The GRAPE team, they're moving along. They're in their final steps of trying to get out the GRAPE 2s in time for the eclipse. I now have an STA, Special Temporary Authority, to do ionosonde transmissions from my house for the eclipse for one of our student projects that Bob McGuire is working on. So I think things are moving along. One other thing I think that I need to probably do in the near future, since we've had this DAISY grant, we've never really published a paper that kind of talked about the personal space weather station system as a whole. And I think we should do that now that we do actually have grapes being made, now that the KA9Q radio is being used in the project, and that Rob Robinette has made progress with the Whisper Demon code and with making it compatible with the grape system, and we have actual working ground-based magnetometers. I think we actually have something we can finally write about. So I think within the not too distant future, I'm going to start outlining and drafting a paper that hopefully we can all contribute to and actually say that we did something on this project. So back to Net.
Very good. Next on the list, we have Michael, AAK. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I successfully got this Beacon Blaster 6 running. Yeah, I'll let you take a view of it. Whoops. How can I?
It's out of focus.
Yeah, I was try to unblur here.
Yeah, turn your blur off. There we go.
Well, that was your phone. There it is.
So it's cheerfully transmitting thanks to the work of Rob Robinette, Paul Elliott, Michael Juan, Dave Whitten, just all kinds of neat stuff.
That's great.
Very good.
Thanks, guys. Couldn't have done it without you. Back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list, we have Dave, KD0, EAG. Go ahead, Dave.
Things are somewhat similar here. We have one of those units. It looks very much like Michael's, that Michael Howen and like a little bit me have running from my house here now. And I guess it seems to be working pretty well. Maybe some final tweaking needs done. We only have the 4 channels of the 6 because we need a bigger splitter, but we're thinking about different ways to do that. And also been working with the grape tube folks, trying to help them get everything out the door. And also just trying to keep body and soul together. So that's it for me.
Very good. I want to make a comment. I had loaned Dave a Zactec, and they took that out and replaced it with a Beacon Blaster, and he now gets 3 times the spots that he was getting with Zactec. So and basic similar antennas. So anyway. Next on the list, we have Jim, K4BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, all. My 3 grape experiments continue to run, and if I'm able to get the grape 2 in time, I'm ready to substitute that, no problem. And let's see, I have been trying to, I've been dreaming for some time of having a grape having a Raspberry Pi do run a network attached storage for me. So I've started doing that project, and I find that very frustrating. I have looked around for instructions on doing it in the Raspberry Pi community. I've found at least 3 people who have given me step-by-step instructions, but I find that all 3 of them are different, and all 3 of them make some assumptions which are not acknowledged as to what directories are where, and possibly other things about the configuration of the Raspberry Pi. So I think I'm just going to have to do it the right way, break down and teach myself more basics of the Raspberry Pi and how it works, and get it by reasoning it out myself. That would be a better way to do it anyway. So if anybody has a good reference that you can recommend on really understanding the Raspberry Pi and what's going on and how to manipulate it, I would appreciate it if you would refer me to whatever the reference is.
Okay, very good. Is that it, Jim?
That's it.
Okay. Next on the list is Bob in 5BRG. Go ahead, Bob.
Hello, everyone. Staying active here. Got vertical antenna I'm working on that I might try to add to my collection of receiving systems for the Eclipse. I'm involved with the Sarah group in we're having this conference here at University of North Texas in Dallas, and that's keeping me jumping a little bit. And I just bought a 3D printer, and I'm trying to learn how to get it working and squeezing out plastic like it's supposed to. And that's a little bit challenging. Anyway, I avoided it for a long time using Craft Cloud, but finally decided I wanted a faster turn and do more printing. So I'm working at it. Anyway, that's all I have. Back to you, Dave.
Okay, very good. Next on the list is David in 1HAC. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone. Well, we're madly putting receivers together, getting them ready to deploy shortly. Got 3 burning in at the lab and a couple more in process. And yeah. Oh, and I had sent a email to Jay, whether he would be still willing to cite one of these. I don't know if you got my email, Jay. I'll have to send it again, I guess. But I'll be bringing one of the units to the workshop as a display, and then Jay or perhaps someone else would be able to take that home with them. Oh, and then regarding grape 2, if I'm, I guess I'm on the list for the grape 2, but assuming I get one, I mentioned this to Gary earlier. I may very well cite it at Stellafane in Springfield, Vermont, because we actually have a radio quiet site there, and I have authorization to install it. But probably a bit better site than having it at the house where I have been known to transmit from time to time. I guess that's about it. I think we were about to get some snow, but it warmed up and we're just going to get more rain. So back to net.
Okay. Next on the list is Franco, K4VZ. Go ahead, Franco.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Been playing a little bit with K9Q Web, helping Glenn to get it running, trying to figure out a few more things. We found out there is also a color map available now, so you can change the color map on the waterfall and play around with things. And pretty much that's it. Back to you today.
Okay. Next on the list is Gary, AF8A. He warned me he hadn't been back for a while and we should get prepared for him.
Hey, Dave, thank you very much. Good
Yes.
evening, everyone. I don't know there's that much to prepare for, but I'll start out pretty simply. I'm glad Nathaniel mentioned the personal space weather station because I've been working on Grape 2 logistics, getting everybody's addresses and all that kind of stuff pulled together. So when they're ready to ship, we know who to ship them to. So far we've got about 25 out of the 28 people, at least information wise, ready to go. Another interesting fact I'll save to the main portion of the meeting, but we've had a couple of people asking about magnetometers, which is great. As opposed to us asking to ask people to install them, people are asking us, coming to us and showing some interest. So I think that's a very positive thing. I'll leave it there for the moment and turn it back to Net and we'll see where we go. Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list is Glenn in 6GN. Glenn, any comments? Welcome.
Hi guys. Yeah, first time dropping in on this. Let me see. I guess the relevant topics here are continuing a rather too large quantity of projects. Boards returning from JLC PCB. This last week or so, I've had both prototypes of the second version of the reference I did, which is essentially a 7-output Bodner with both 10 megahertz and GNSS referencing as well as web interface. And in the external reference mode, it's got a lot more loop bandwidth than a Bodner does, so it's got better spectral purity. It does only go to 200 megahertz on the outputs, 225 actually. But that was in conjunction with the other item, which maybe will be of more interest. Franco has been really gracious in helping me. I had compiled the G0ORX stuff before Christmas and came back to it because I got a stack, literally a box of these external phase lock boards I built. These are type 1 PLLs that will go inside a variety of things, RX 888, TRXs, red pitayas. I have a simpler version of it in my IC 7300. And the idea is it's both an isolation, it's a type 1 PLL. So what happened, it's an injection lock PLL, if you think of it that way, but you can sort of, they're better controlled than a lot of systems. In the RX 888, it essentially replaces the VCXO that's on board with another one. The RX 888 VCXO isn't bad; it's pretty good. But in this general case, I replace it, and then when I apply an external reference, it's an interface that lets me phase lock to the external reference with generally a couple of kilohertz of bandwidth, depending on how I set it. And so my reason for coming back to the G0ORX SDR was I just wanted to look and see what things looked like. I knew what the spectrum of the locked os, this locked oscillator looked like, but I wanted to put it all together. And so I came back to that. So there is a box of them here. They can be configured. I basically did not load VCXOs, so they can be configured to work with a variety of things. In the case of the RX 888, it wants single-ended. The RX 888 is kind of a mess, but this kind of, I think, fixes it. It's a single-ended output. In the case of the Red Pitaya and the TRX, it's LVDS. It'll do both of those. And really the hard part, well, the hard part in general is installing them in radios. Most even an RX 888 is bad. It's got a UFL connector, and I think that unless people have had practice, it's even that's difficult for the average guy. So I have a box of these things. I'm trying to figure out how to distribute them to people who could use them. I really don't have time to become a vendor, but I'm looking for somebody who would like to take over, all that kind of interface so I can go on with the other projects. So that's kind of I think that's the relevant stuff from here, Dave.
Okay, well, very, very good. That sounds exciting. It'll be interesting to hear more details as we get into the regular discussion. So next on the list, let's see, is Jay, WB8 SBI. Go ahead, Jay.
And good evening, everybody. It's been 2 or 3 or 4 weeks since last I was able to check in. Nothing new ham radio wise. Still pulling my stuff together to get ready to go down to Akron, Ohio to be on the center line of the eclipse. And I finally got to get off my lazy rear end and make hotel reservations for Cleveland for the conference. Yay! And my brand new car, which I just got a couple weeks ago, is looking forward to its first significant road trip. That's about all amateur radio wise. Professionally wise, this Wednesday is going to be a personal first in my entire life. That as I will be addressing a professional conference on it'll be a webinar, some 250 people on real top level people who know what they're doing about automotive cybersecurity. And so I'm presenting my cyber team, my Society of Automotive Engineers team that I lead, going to be presenting that work. And I've never done something like this before. Speak it to the colleagues at the office. Yeah. A couple other, the radio club. Yeah. This kind of event, lifetime first. So, some of you are really used to doing this. Me, somebody got a good few downers that I can take with some Scotch whiskey to wash it down, to get me calmed down. So I'm, and peel me off the wall. I got to be careful about climbing the walls here, since they still are, they're in good condition. They were freshly painted a few years ago. I don't want to scratch the walls from climbing the walls too much. So that's this Wednesday morning. And other than that, just my Morphine Junk HF antenna is continuing to live up to, or live down to, its name. Oh, and on my new car, I have to get a through the window glass mount with the kind that, you've got the coming from the radio here and sticky tape, and the external antenna has got they're inductively coupled through the window, because there's no, I can't mount an antenna on the car any other way other than to drill holes. And I'm not going to do that on a brand new car. So other than that, nothing really new here. When I get back next Monday, if I'm still here, that everything went okay. And if there's no new scratches on the wall here, it meant that between the single malt Scotch whiskey and the recreational pharmaceuticals, everything worked, and I'm okay. Other than that, 7-3 all, back to net.
Well, good luck, Jay. It's not that hard. next on the list, we have John, WI6P. Go ahead, John. Looks like he has his mic on, but I don't know if he's there. Well, nothing heard, so we'll go on down the list. Next, we have Jonathan, KC3 EEY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. This week there was a release, a brand new release of VLFRX Tools 0.9N as in Nancy. This release adds geomagnetic geomagnetic calculations to VT spot, so you could calculate your geomagnetic conjugate points based on your latitude and longitude. You can make contour maps of the of geomagnetic latitude and longitude. One of the other interesting functions is the addition of what's called IQ ping. So what that is that introduces a timing method through IQ data. And I mentioned this before, and I want to mention it again. This is something that we should seriously take a look at for time stamping IQ data. I know everybody thinks of frequency references, and frequency references are important too, but it's also important to have time-stamped, accurate time-stamped IQ data, just like I have with my VLF data. So again, how this works is that there is a frequency that's injected into the RF input, and in this case, an RTL-SDR dongle. And that input is gated by a GPS pulse per second signal. So every time the pulse goes active, the signal is injected into the RF input. And the software that monitors the IQ data looks for this and derives timing information from those signals. And I remember Phil mentioned something similar as a time stamping solution was to inject a wideband noise once every second as a timing reference. So I honestly believe that this timing method is something that HAMSci and the group should honestly investigate for time stamping IQ data, because there's already a working example, and I think this is important. So that was the other update to VLFRX Tools. Lastly, I did some software updates. I updated VLFRX Tools on my systems, the VLF server and the VLF system running at Nathaniel's house. And I also updated GPS daemon running on the VLF system. So that is currently up to date with the latest code. It's actually working quite well, and I could read temperature information from the GPS module. So it's a more accurate internal temperature sensor than it is from the Raspberry Pi CPU. You know, lot of good updates this week. That's all I have. Back to the net.
Okay. Next on the list, we have Michael, AC0G. Go ahead, Michael.
Good evening, everybody. Dave mentioned installing a WhisperSound 6 at his house. We had fun doing that the other day. It's just 4 bands, and so, as he said, we're looking for, spoken with Paul Elliott about getting a 6-band combiner, so we can bring all 6 and add 15 and 30 meters to the list of 80, 40, 20, and 10, which it's currently broadcasting on. This matches Mike's system up in Port Huron, and I know I'm hearing him in at my Fargo listening station as well as here in Central Missouri. So we're starting to get some good disciplined transmitting beacon sites on Whisper going, which is potentially going to be quite useful. Otherwise, I'm tweaking some antennas here, trying to get my receiving site improved and clean up my shack. Back to net.
Okay, very good. And thanks for helping Dave. Next on the list is...
one more thing.
Oh,
Let me
sure.
just mention this. I just discovered somebody's been making progress at the University of Alabama, and Bill Engelke isn't here to toot his own horn, but I just noticed that the multi-band uploads from Whisper Demon, where we're using an RX888 to listen to all of the time and frequency stations, are currently parsed and able to display the spectrograms. So formerly it was just displaying the spectrograms of the grapes sort of single frequency or 3 frequency uploads, and now it can do the ones that are coming from Whisper Demon. So that's kind of cool. If you want to check out the Personal Space Weather Station website, some of those spectrograms are there. Back.
Very good. Thanks for that add-on. I'm going to pick up the last 3 and then come back to Rob. Next, we have Sumo, is the way I would pronounce it. I don't know if that's correct. Please be... Okay, very good. And welcome. And I guess it's morning for you there.
Yeah, yes. And I live in Kyoto, Japan.
Yes.
So in the morning,
Yes.
and here, and rainy days today. And I have been a member of the TAPR and since 1980.
Yes.
So I'm interested. I've been interested in radio observation, and
Yes.
for example, the meteor radio observation. So we send a beacon, and so the long time. So I would like to learn and use a more new technology, a digital receiver, for example, the K9Q or so. I would like to get the information and to do radio wave observation more technically, more scientific.
Well, very good. We're welcome and we're happy to have you.
Thank you very much for. I'm joined. Many times I receive your information for their meeting, and but very rare case to join this meeting.
Yes, yes. We get people from around the world, but not regularly. So we've had Australia and the Middle East, and they come, but it's usually at an odd hour for them. So anyway, welcome, and we'll help try to figure out how to get a radio receiver set up for you there. Okay, very good. And next on the list is Tom Yarnish. Tom, do you have any comments?
I guess so. I've posted I'm having a bad hair day, so I put up my a portrait of me as a young amateur.
Yes, and toasting.
And so I worked with Rob a lot out at KPH, and I was out there this weekend. They had a power failure, and the power supplies went down, and then all the Kiwis and stuff did not come back online when the power was restored. So we had some issues out there, and we're now upgrading the backup power system so that it should be more reliable. And we had one RX 888 failure that I've got it on my desk here. Going to ship it back to Rob so he can sort it out. Other than that, just watching the progress of this group, and I'm very excited about the eclipse project. I'm waiting for the next solar eclipse to pass over Northern California. Until then, I'll be on the sidelines piddling with some of the Whisper equipment. That's about all.
Oh, very good. And next on the list, we have Tom in N5EG. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, good evening, Dave, and good evening to everyone in the group. Not too much this week. I've been helping a few folks via email on, I've been having some difficulty building KA9Q radio. Not quite sure what's going on. There was a link to Gwen Griffith's RSGB presentation from last week. Really an outstanding video. He talked about side scatter and using Doppler spread to verify side scatter paths. Really a quite good video. And back to the group.
Okay, very good. So I think that leaves Rob. So we're gonna let Rob make his comments. He looked like he was on a bicycle earlier. So
you're talking about me?
Yes.
I'm not on a bicycle. I'm having early dinner in Maui.
Oh, okay.
So I hope it's not too windy or that makes too much background noise. I'm sorry, we're outdoors. So I've heard, I'm here to, well, we're closing down, selling my house, so we're taking the equipment out of there. And Clint, K7OEI, and Brett, who is with me, have been, Brett is KG7RGR, KD7. He's having lunch with me here.
Okay.
Have been working to try to put together a Whisper Demon grave system, that being a AAA connected to a Orange Pi 5 with, of course, the GPS discipline. We'll have a site where if we can get that working, we should be able to put it up and maintain and almost expand the listening services that we offer. So, but we're encountering a number of now subtle problems with running the K9Q radio or the 888 on the Orange Pi, and Phil has been helping us. It seems to be network stack problems in the Ambien version of the operating system that we include, but Ubuntu was even worse. So big challenges there. We have on the transmit side, well, Tom talked about getting our 888s up, and I think a lot of us, I've encountered a number of problems with the clocking, external clock input, either clocking too fast or slow, or not at all, or worse, damaging the internal circuitry. So Glenn's, I recommend Glenn's design or other careful approaches to connecting your external clock up to your AAA. Be cautious. The transmit side, we've Michael and Dave Whitten have deployed Whisper Sound 6, as Dave, as Michael mentioned, and then Mike Neruda. I don't know if he's in the call tonight. I can't see.
Yes, he is.
Okay, well then I don't know if he's given a report about his. He has a Whisper Sound on the air as well. If you go to Tim to Phil Bernard BK7JJ top beacon site, you will see that those two transmitters, even though they're only running on 4 bands, are the two of the 3 top spotting beacons in the world. 70,000 plus spots are recorded of their transmissions every day. So we're, our goal isn't to be a top, that isn't the point of this deployment, but it does show that there are a lot of people listening, and hopefully there'll be a lot of data that will be contributed as a basis of this. So having these two sites up, and we just recorded a third site, Jim Lill, WA2 PKD, who also has a top spotting site, and I think has worked with, maybe some of you have worked with him, but Jim lives up in Rochester, New York, and he's agreed, and Phil and Jim and I got together this morning, and Paul is going to ship, I said Phil, but I meant Paul, WV6CXE is going to be shipping a WhisperSound 8 to Jim Lill, who has a 160 through 10 meter inverted V on the rooftop of his employer. So he should be on air within a few weeks. So we'll have that will give us a third WhisperSound GPS, discipline receiver along the path of the totality. And along with the Clint K70EI, who's going to be transmitting from Dallas, we now have 4 points, transmitting points along the path of the totality. So the only candidate we're looking for now for the eclipse would be a transmit site up in, I don't know, probably Nova Scotia, some New Brunswick, someplace up there would be good. I don't think we have any, I don't know of any Canadian hands who participate here, but that's, and it would be hard probably to get a WhisperSound to them through the customs and so on. So I think this may be all we get for good, well-spaced sites along the path. So that's good to have them in place, and now we can turn our attention to just making sure everything is up and reliable. So that's my. I feel like that was a pretty good accomplishment over the last couple of weeks. And I'm sorry I missed our Japanese participant, but we have no good transmitters out of WhisperSound GPS disciplined multi-band transmitters anywhere in Asia, and I don't know if that would be of interest. But I would love to pursue that if there's interest, if someone would willing to put one up, it would be a great contribution. I think you probably don't know very much what we're talking about, so we'll probably need to have another conversation, perhaps offline. But anyway, that's yeah.
He said that he's been a Tapper member for years, and that he's been following what we've been doing. So he's well aware of some of the things. He said he was interested in setting up K9Q radio to receive.
Well, you can't do both really very well.
Yes.
Glenn has been transmitted by his receiver, but it pretty much deafens the receiver. We have a transmitter nearby.
Well, he may know another ham that can do one, and they can collaborate.
Yeah, well, I think Glenn's presentations, as his online presentation and the one he's going to give at the conference, will show the value of a WhisperSound, that being transmitting simultaneously, continuously, and simultaneously on multiple bands. You learn a lot more than the band scanning approach. It gives you insight into the ionospheric perturbations. So I'm hoping that we'll find people interested in contributing to our studies by deploying the WhisperSound long term. Keep them up there, because it's not just the eclipse that they're valuable for.
Yep. So,
Okay, I guess that's all I can think of at the moment. So
okay,
I'll send it back to you, Dave.
okay. So I think we've talked to everybody on the list at this point. I've got to switch back over. And so at this point, I'll leave it open for general discussion. So
I'd like to jump in and ask a magnetometer question of Dave Witten, if I could. There he is.
Go ahead.
All right. As I said, in doing this Grape 2 deployment, a couple of people have come to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to work on, install a magnetometer with it too." But what I don't know is anything about the availability of your newly designed magnetometer boards. Is John Gibbons' software ready to accept it? Or should I steer
Yeah.
people in one direction or another? I'm just not sure what to tell them.
We're still tweaking this and that, but essentially, yes, it is ready to go. And John has those magnetometers and can provide them with the Grape 2s. Or if mysteriously he would run out, I probably have more. So it's not a problem. It can be used with the Tapper ones too. I think he concluded, though there were some, after a long conversation with the schematic. But certainly the ones that he has from me should be ready to go. And I think he has at least 20 of them or something, maybe 25. So more than I think. Yeah, I think we got plenty of them.
Okay, that's excellent news. We've gotten a couple of inquiries. I know John's been corresponding with one of the people. Is there, if somebody asks for one of these things, is there a need for any kind of documentation? I know we're running right up to the wire against the eclipse. Or would somebody correspond with you if we've got a couple of people that are interested in deploying these, or what do you suggest?
If they don't have enough information from John, they can contact me and I will find whatever it is they need to know for them and be happy to interact with them in any way that is helpful. I will be available pretty much. The only place I'm planning to go between now and the eclipse is to the Hamsai workshop, and so I will be available by email. There's one guy, he didn't, he's been going through the grape list, but for some reason he wasn't getting through to my email. I don't know, but I don't really understand that, but it seems to be sorted now. Somebody up at Michigan wants to do it with a bunch of students, I think. And then, but anyone else who wants to do it now, the part about configuring the data upload, well, I think the data with the Grape 2, the data is all part of the data bundle that gets uploaded to Tuscaloosa. And so there's no separate, whatever the setup is for that should take care of that. If they want to do it to the other site for any reason, they can do both simultaneously, I believe. But I don't know if you want to do all that configuration on the Grape 2 system. But probably best to leave it alone for now and just keep it but the Grape 2 is designed to support a remote magnetometer module. You just have to assemble the little, the tube and get a piece of Cat5 and bury it in the ground. And there are instructions for, I think, everything you could need for that. John was trying to gather them together, I think, and anything that's missing, I will dig for as well.
I have a question. Does John have a copy of Hillman's paper?
There's one on the Hamsci website. There's a lot of details that Jules Madej had put together
Yes.
and the humans as
Yes.
well. Yes.
So I just want to make sure that's probably the best source of real information about it. Other
Yeah,
than
so far,
Dave can talk people through it, the other people probably don't have time to talk anybody through. Well, or they're gone.
Well, I'm
yeah,
happy.
you're right. The physical infrastructure part is on the Hamsci website. It's well detailed. I just want to make sure we don't get people grape twos and they get tangled up trying to make the magnetometer work and they miss the eclipse or something like that too. Because
Yes.
and obviously I don't want to get in the middle of anything. I can't help anybody, but
That's right. No, for the magnetometer and the magnetometer only, I'm happy to act as a resource, a resource of last resort, but a resource, very, very much so, because I don't know who else is going to do it, so I'll do it.
okay, that helps a lot, Dave. That tells me everything I need to know. If I get any more requests, I can count it properly. So thank you. That's it.
Great.
Dave confirming that should work with the original remote board. Is that correct?
I just got confused there. The magnetometer.
Yeah, the magnetometer, the remote board that.
I believe you can run it with the Grape 1 also, but you have to use both a local and a remote module. You really probably need the tapper set rather
Yeah,
than.
that's what I've got the tapper set. That's what's in the ground now.
And is it a Rev E or Rev D?
Well, his is working.
If it's working, it should be fine.
If it's still working the way we had it, I know we had it going anyway.
Yeah, as best I can tell, it's still working.
Yeah, well, we can figure that out if there's any question, but you should be able to collect data with your Grape 1. Of course, it'll be Grape 1 data, but and also collect magnetometer data, I think on the same Pi. But
Well, I think Jim's question may have been, will the remote, tell me if I'm wrong, Jim, the remote magnetometer board you have on the ground, will that work with the Grape 2? Is that your question?
Correct.
Okay, John Gibbons has a discussion on right now in the Grape forum and Google groups. And he did ask one of the gentlemen, Kirk KK2Z, to do a quick test for him. So I think John's of the opinion it'll probably work, but he's looking for somebody to test it before he tells that out to the world, I think.
But that was my question too. Is there any reason to change if you already have a working tapper system and you're collecting data?
Well, the default IP address or I2C addresses were different on the tapper version.
No, I'm saying is the data that the magnetometer data that you result from either of the two systems, is it the same?
It should be the same.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's really no reason to change. If you've got something functional, why change it?
As long as you can read at if you're using the new Grape 2 system, it uses the logical defaults for the devices rather than the ones that some of the tapper ones went to. But other than that, you should be able to do it. I think. We were trying to verify that just today.
I wanted to mention to Bob that I have 2 magnetometers that have been running for almost 3 years now, and I just keep sending data, and they are all going to the Alabama site.
Right, and that's my point about why would we be even thinking about trying to integrate some other board if it's functioning and we're getting data to the Alabama site.
If you got one set up and running to the Alabama site, I would just take the Grape 2 and set it next to it and set it up also. And and don't put a magnetometer on that one, except for the fact that the data isn't quite. I believe that the data gets ingested in Tuscaloosa into the right place, as best I know. Even
Yeah,
from,
we have it structured to take magnetometer versus radio data separately.
yeah,
I can tell you I'm running a Grape 1 here right now, and I'm also running a magnetometer, and I'm running them on 2 separate Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
And I'm not planning on changing it before the eclipse.
No.
So
No.
I can say that I do have both of them reporting to Tuscaloosa right now. So
yeah. If you get a Grape 2, I would either get it with the magnetometer that's supposed to go with it and plan to install that all together, or more likely just get the Grape 2 and not the magnetometer, because you're already recording what'll be the same data.
Okay. That's easy enough. Now, with the Grape 1.1 and 1.2, when we get the Grape 2, what of those 2 original grapes should we leave running and which can we take out?
I would leave the I don't know. It depends who you ask.
Wouldn't it make sense to keep the FL Digi one, early Grape 1 running for Christina's purposes?
Yeah, probably. So I was
And
gonna
then if
say,
you,
depends who you ask.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
if the
I
Grape
can
1.1, it depends what frequencies you're mining. If you're mining the same frequencies as the Grape 2 as the Grape 1.12, and they're both DRF, that would be redundant, I would think.
well, aside from the fact that we want to make sure that well, it gets complicated. Can you run all 3 for now?
Yeah. I think
Because
this year that's probably the smartest is to keep
yeah,
all 3.
So yeah, for right now, if you can run all 3, that would be the best. And here's why. So like Gary said, the Grape FL Digi version is actually, we are actually using that data. In fact, I can tell you that I just read and commented on a paper yesterday that Shivaji Chakraborty is writing with Christina Collins, and it uses data from all of the Grape 1 FL Digis looking at solar flares. So and it's using data that's been collected over a period of like 2 or 3 years. So that data is actively being used, and they are working on using that FL Digi data for publication. The Grape FL Digi, I'm sorry, the Grape Digital RF, Grape 1 Digital RF data, that data is definitely working. It is actively going into the University of Alabama system. It's being plotted every day. And I can tell you that Rachel Bodeker, she is right now looking at all of the digital RF data from the October eclipse, and she's working on putting that into a presentation for Hamsci workshop over the next week. So that data is also being used. The Grape 2 data, they actually do not have the system, they don't have it set up yet to upload the data to Alabama servers. So hopefully that software will get written and deployed before the eclipse. But there's also a possibility that the Grape 2s are just going to be collecting the data on hard drive for now, and we may either have to sneaker net the data back, or we may have to, wait for a firmware update to actually get it up to the University of Alabama server. So it's still a little bit more of a beta test than we'd like it to be. So if you're able to run all 3 systems, there's reason to do so for now.
Okay. Now the Grape 2 comes with its own Raspberry Pi, is that right?
That's right. Grape 2 does come with its own Raspberry Pi.
Okay, it shouldn't be any problem to run them all then.
I
Sounds
suspect,
great.
I suspect in most cases, each of these things, if you can get them up and running, there's no special reason to take any of them down ever, if at all possible. You know, they're instruments and they just collect data. And you never quite know who's going to be interested in that data down the road, in part just because of its continuity with the earlier stuff. Isn't that perhaps true?
Yes. I would say for the moment, I would say there will be a day where I think we can say, all right, you can just run the Grape 2 and it'll be good. And that day will be the day that we have proven that we can convert the digital RF data to the FL Digi format, which I think we are getting closer to. We actually have a version of that code running on the Grape 2 now. And when we have shown that the Grape 2 is, running properly and producing equivalent things as the Grape 1, I think at that day, we are we'll be able to take the other two off. But for now, just I think keep them running for now, and that would be the best.
This is Michael. I'm just, are you seeing my screen? This is what I was telling you is up at University of Alabama. So these are concurrent readings on the different channels recorded by a disciplined RX 888. And then the full 16 16 kilohertz bandwidth is filtered on the local machine to a 10 hertz bandwidth, converted to digital RF, and uploaded to the University of Alabama server. And this is 1 day's worth of data from the 27th of February on 2.5, 3.3, that's the CHU station, 5 megahertz, 7.85, another CHU station, 10 megahertz, and so on. So this
That's
is
really
being captured
beautiful.
by 888 using Whisper Daemon, and Franco wrote some code to convert the 10 megahertz filtered wave file into digital RF and then upload it to Alabama. So that's an example of what somebody at University of Alabama figured out how to produce these plots of the concurrent digital RF. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's really, really nice. I'm super glad to see that. And that makes me want to try to also get a RX 888 running at my house before the eclipse. A lot of things to do.
A lot of stuff coming together.
Yes. Yes, there is a lot of stuff coming together, and that's really exciting. Yeah, this is really, really good.
So along those lines, I know it's getting late. I don't want to be on too long about this, but I've been thinking ahead to the Dayton Hamvention, where hopefully Hamsci and Tapper will have our tables side by side and whatnot. And while we can talk in forums and stuff, some of our findings and observations, I guess, from the eclipses, we want to also think about the future. What's coming next? We probably don't want to talk about the next eclipse in 2044 over the continental U.S. But I think this RX 888 is something we can really hang our hats on and talk about. We've got a lot of different versions of the personal space weather station. But anyhow, to get to that point, I would like to put some, I guess for lack of a better term, marketing information about the RX-88 on the Hamsci websites. When we talk to people, we can say, go to our website, click on the personal space weather station, and you can look at the Grape 1, the Grape 2, and the Clementine. So that's maybe the paper you're writing, Nathaniel, can be the basis for that. I'm not sure. Maybe that'll get me started. Who knows? But anyhow, just something for people to think about, and that's good for now.
Actually, Gary, I was hoping your paper would give me the basis for my paper.
Yeah, you got a lot more faith in me than I do. So
I think it'll all come together.
yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Yeah. Well, it is about 10 o'clock, so I might say 73 for now and try to get some sleep.
That sounds good.
But I think this is all really good progress, and I will see everyone next week and then at the ham site workshop. I guess 2 more calls of this and then the ham site workshop. So
73.
All right, good
73,
night, everyone.
everybody.
7-3.
23s from very snowy Oregon.
Thanks, Tom. 73.